2022. To all you kids down there, I was once a child with a dream, looking up to the stars. Now I'm an adult in a spaceship with lots of other wonderful adults looking down to our beautiful, beautiful Earth. For the next generation of dreamers, if we can do this, just imagine what you can do. Hey!
Back by popular demand, Money in the Bank. Said 3 days ago. Hope you guys are coming back. Well, we're back. Guys, real quick, hit the like and subscribe button. The more likes, the more subscribes, the more videos. Hit the bell. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, man. So why is Grandpa in space?
Because he's rich.
One thing before we get into it, just let me dig into because he says we're looking up to the stars. That's right, because he never made it to space. Booyah! Jeff Bezos in the house.
Right. So the technicalities aside about whether or not they hit the actual threshold of space. As an investor, all I care about is if that flight was full, that'd have been $2 million. And for what, 12 minutes? They were up and down in, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes they went up and down. Wasn't that long.
Space had a successful flight and their stock, look at this chart, up, down, up, down. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, anywhere from 62 to 14. That is huge. Here you are. They around in March, they were at $36 and with the rest of the market, they essentially tanked and then they bottomed out somewhere around $14. So yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Is that run totally because he made it to space properly? Was that because of that?
July 12th. So this is where we were on or around July 12th. Okay, but there's more to the story. There's more to the story.
So what was the catalyst? Why did it shoot up before? I wasn't clearly paying attention to.
It's not that it shot up. It shot up before. I wouldn't even say it shoot up. I would just say it reaccumulated its base because it was announced that Jeff was going to go up. That Jeff Bezos was going to go up.
Oh, right. It was the anticipation of all of this.
Exactly. And so then they said, oh, if Jeff Bezos is going up, Richard Branson always said, I'm going up on the third flight. He never said he's going up on the first flight. So people said, hey, you know, if they have a successful flight, the stock should take off. So I think a lot of it was just front running up.
Who's going to get to space? Which billionaire is going to get to space first? Elon Musk.
Right.
Elon Musk stayed out of the whole thing and just went to space in a bunch of rockets. He's like, my fucking car is further than your goddamn.
Basically, yeah, right. My roadster. He's like, don't hit my roadster.
He's like, that's almost at Mars, bitches.
Right. July 12th, the same day, they announced that they may sell 500 million shares after the space success. So essentially, they diluted the shares because they had risen. They rose about 8% before the markets opened, but they tumbled 7% after the end of the day, after the share sale was announced. So that was the big catalyst, was that they applied to sell $500 million in shares, thinking that they would have a big boost, pull some of that equity out to continue to fund operations.
What is the market cap of this company still?
$8 billion. Well, Bezos is bigger than this.
Who the hell is buying this for the PE? The PE ratio has to be a certain amount or certain cash flows. No, you're buying it for the future potential that this will be. And if they do succeed in any way, I mean, $8 billion. I mean, Instagram was bought for $19 billion. Yeah. What is a space company worth in 10, 15 years that is successful? It has to be successful.
I think another reason why these market caps are here is because SpaceX isn't public. So if they're public, they become the standard, which you're going to compare them against.
Right. But I'm saying 8 billion is still low considering what they're aiming for. Meaning,
yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So if they succeed, once again, big if, we discussed this in another video, this is not an $8 billion company. There is no middle. This is not a $15 billion company or a 20. No. You don't go to space and you're worth less than Instagram. That's just not the way it works.
All right. I'm going to actually sign up for one of the flights. And so there we go. Submit. Virgin Galactic space flights tickets start at $450,000. This is 2 days ago. So this is like breaking news, you could say. Okay. Virgin Galactic has reopened ticket sales for space flights starting at the price of $450,000 a piece. It comes after the company led by Richard Branson completed its fully crewed space flight to the edge of space in July. The firm hopes to convince commercial flight. Okay. It had previously sold tickets for $250 a piece, but stopped in 2014 after a fatal accident. They had 600 reservations at $250,000. And so they had, what is that? That's $150 million.
Jeff Bezos in this case did something smart. And I think we discussed this separately, but he did like an auction, right?
Blue Origin auction seat on first space flights with Jeff Bezos for $28 million. So it ended up going for $28 million.
I mean, that's amazing. That's one seat. And I'm not saying every seat will be that, but I think the first people who are paying are obviously billionaires and multi tens of millionaires, right?
Yeah.
So they should be paying what the market demands, which is like an auction system. If you pay more, You get to go first.
What Virgin Galactic did instead was do win seats on the first Galactic flight. They did more of not an auction, but more of like a raffle.
Once again, I do like Jeff Bezos' way he's doing it better because he's seeing what people will actually pay to be first, as opposed to Branson setting a price for something. He doesn't know what the price is. We don't know what someone will pay to have a 10-minute flight in space who's never done it before, who has a lot of money.
Yeah.
So Jeff Bezos found out it's $28 million.
Yeah.
That's what he found out.
Jeff Bezos is doing something completely different. Jeff Bezos is actually more in direct competition with SpaceX than Richard Branson. In other words, Virgin Galactic gets you to space by taking off in a traditional aircraft and then at a high enough altitude, drops the plane you're in, and that rockets up into space. It then does a somersault and glides back down. So you actually land on the same runway.
Right. You're in like literally an airplane looking vehicle.
It looks like a private jet. 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds.
1, release.
Right. It looks like a more of a conventional, even though it's like a fancy rocket type airplane, but it's more conventional looking. Yeah. And Jeff Bezos is basically.
Oh my God, the memes, the memes from Austin Powers. Oh, it was so because he's literally Dr. Evil.
Yeah, right.
Literally.
It's so funny, right?
So yes, Virgin Galactic stock has been a roller coaster ride lately. But if you're holding this, like Vitaly said, you're not holding this because you think they're going to turn a profit next year. They're probably not.
Just like a lot of these growth companies, not only space, but space explicitly, they're going to raise money every time they get a chance to raise money. Mm-hmm. So you're going to be diluted for the next, I don't know, 5 to 10 years. And honestly, Tesla did something similar where they diluted their shareholders. But the whole purpose of diluting the shareholder is also to realize that they're building something that will create shareholder value in the future. Yeah. But we hope it'll happen. So nobody liked it when Tesla did it, obviously, and stock would be volatile as well. But that's what you're doing. You're taking the leap of faith that 10 years from now, this is a multi-trillion-dollar company. That's honestly what you're taking the leap of faith on. But he's going to dilute you every year probably for the next decade. So let's end it with this. I'll ask you, Carlos, now. You have some shares, right? So there's two things. How do we make money on this stock?
If you're just looking to make money on pure stock appreciation, you're going to have to wait a long time. Then this is just a massive accumulation phase for you. You have your target. I want 5,000 shares, and I want it to stay at this level for another year or so while I build that position. And that's one way to do it, but you have to be really young or have a really long time horizon for those returns. If you want to make money on the stock now, when you see a chart like this is a perfect play for options.
You have to know a little bit about this. And the reason you have to know about a little bit about options, not just be an expert. You don't need to be an expert, and you don't need to trade options every day. This is not what you need to do. I don't trade options every day.
Well, let's look at this one. That's $40 because that one's a bit further out. $40 is $1.25. So what they're saying is they're willing to pay you $1.25 times 100 shares. So they're basically holding 100 of your shares at $1.25 per share for a month, in the hopes that it's going to hit $40, or that it hopes that it's going to hit $41.25. So if a month from now, the Virgin Galactic stock hits $41.25, that person has won the bet, and they'll either be able to get all of the money that they would on the sale of a $40 strike price minus the 33.
If you're doing options, you don't want to risk all your shares. Let me put it this way. You want to risk a certain portion of your portfolio. You don't want to be like a gambler and just risk everything all the time.
Yeah.
So usually if you have 200 shares, you might use 100 shares in this option thing. Or even if you have 300 shares, you might only use 100 shares. Now, if you have 1,000 shares, you might do 200 or 300 shares for these contracts, right? But let's just talk smaller. So right away, I got my cost basis down to $31.75, 5 seconds into the trade.
For the shares that you just bought. 5
seconds into the trade, the shares are already cheaper for me.
Right.
And now I have to wait, of course. If it hits $41.25, I lose those shares. But you just made a spread of $7.
Yeah. You would
Plus you got paid the $125.
Right.
You have no loss here.
You're willing to risk in the money, $2.30. That means that someone will pay you $230 for the right to sell your shares at $36 and make the difference between the 33 and the 36 that you paid for. So obviously the closer it is, the more the premium is, because there's a higher risk for the person offering the contract to lose them.
Within the month range is when you as the guy selling these contracts have the best chance for just to collect the premium and no one gets your shares.
Right.
So that's like the smartest bet you can do with your portfolio.
This is how you could make money on your existing shares as opposed to having to ever sell them.
Right.
You don't have to actually sell them. You can just sell options and you're getting paid for risking them, not even for selling them.
To be honest, Virgin Galactic is going to have a hard time to change fundamentally over the next couple of years. It's probably going to trade in a range for a couple of years. So that's why I wouldn't risk my whole portfolio, but to risk like 100 shares to just keep making premium every month, $50, $100, just you're literally getting paid. It's almost a dividend.
If you want to go bearish, if you hear something, or for example, if some crazy news comes out with SpaceX or something happens with Blue Origin that makes it seem like an apparent disadvantage for them, their stock could drop.
When you made enough profit, so when your covered call is, let's say 50, 60, 70% profit, you should actually sell that option. We didn't discuss that, but the best thing for you to do is not to hold that option to expiration, like the whole month. The best thing to do is to make that, whatever your number is. For me, it's around 60, 70%. As soon as I'm up 60, 70%, I sell it.